Well, hello, my paranormal peeps, and welcome back to another Deep Woods Paranormal podcast. My name is Matt Harvey. I am the founder and lead investigator with Deep Woods Paranormal. I am also the host of the Deep Woods Paranormal podcast, where we are making the paranormal normal. All right, so let's continue on with our last Folklore podcast. What connects shapeshifters, sky monsters, and mysterious children who knock on your door at night? As we will continue on exploring the strangest folklore and modern myths that blur the line between reality and the unknown. All right, on this volume, we are going to be talking about Skinwalkers. We're also going to be talking about Bell Island Boom, the Flatwoods Monster, the Kushtaka, Lady in White. We know several of those from both San Juan Capistrano and Black Star Canyon and other places. The Fresno Nightcrawlers, that's an interesting one. Thunderbird, which I've been looking into lately, and the Black-Eyed Children. All right, so let's get into this. So let's start with the Skinwalkers. In Navajo culture, a Skinwalker is a type of malevolent witch or sorcerer who has the ability to shapeshift into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal, most commonly a coyote, a wolf, a fox, a bear, an owl, or crow. They represent the Navajo Nation culture values and use their powers for evil purposes. All right, well, that sounds interesting. Okay, so I've heard about these guys for, a long time. I believe that you have to be like a medicine man, and you have to be practicing different types of magic that the Indians don't normally do, and you have to do terrible things to become a skinwalker. So, it's its origins. A person becomes a skinwalker by choosing to practice dark magic, often after undergoing a forbidden initiation ritual that requires committing an atrocious act, such as a murder of a close family member. These individuals were sometimes once respected healers or medicine people who became corrupted by power. That sounds pretty creepy. Okay, so the abilities. Beyond shapeshifting, skinwalkers are said to possess a range of supernatural powers, including mimicry. They can perfectively. Okay, forget it. Intimidate. I can't talk now. They can perfectly imitate the voices of animals and humans to lure victims into danger. We just talked about something like this the other day where something was calling to a hunter, trying to possibly lure him to his death. Maybe it was one of these guys. Superhuman capabilities. They have enhanced speed, strength, and agility. Mind control and cursing, like they can curse somebody. They can place curses on people and control their minds, sometimes by making eye contact. So it says corpse powder. Some legends mentioned them using a toxic corpse powder made from ground humans' infant bones to paralyze or kill victims. Bear with me 1 second. Let me get a sip of my drink. Okay. They do have vulnerabilities. According to a legend, they can be killed if their true human name is spoken aloud, which causes them to sicken and die within a few days. They can also be warded off with a bullet or knife dipped in white ash. So the legend of Skinwalker is deeply embedded and seriously part of the Navajo tradition, serving as a cautionary tale about monetary and the consequences of misguided sacrifice, sacred knowledge. Traditional Navajos are often very reluctant to discuss the length of the legend with outsiders due to the cultural taboos and fear of attracting their attention. Sharing these stories in disrespectful ways or out of context is considered culturally inappropriate, which can be offensive to the Navajo people. So yeah, I mean, these people were probably a very well-respected elder, and then they for some reason or other they became corrupt, and they decided to get into this magic, and go off and possibly kill some people that were probably part of their family, and then became very feared because they have these powers. And imagine, with a culture like that things, if you're a non-believer, can be mistaken. Maybe people think they see things, maybe they've heard stories so it gets in their heads, or maybe it's true. Maybe they can actually change into something else. If you follow what's going on at Area 51, people see them. And a couple other places I'm not going to mention. Skinwalkers are huge in that area, and especially in the Four Corner states. They're seen a lot out there. They're also seen across the country. So, what are your thoughts on this? Leave your comment down below. Please be respectful, though, okay, guys? This is a family channel. So, all right. Let's go on to the Bell Island boom, which was a mysterious and powerful phantom explosion that shook Bell Island, Newfoundland, Canada, on April 2nd, 1978, without an apparent conventional cause. The event was part of a seriously unexplained mystery of booms along the North American Atlantic coast that winter, caused by significantly physical damage and generated numerous theories ranging from natural phenomenon to secret military weapons testing. All right, so real quick. Okay, so details of the event. So you guys are going to learn about this kind of as I am. So at around 11 a.m. on a quiet Saturday morning, residents heard a tremendous boom, described by witnesses as a louder than a shotgun blast, a naval gun, or a parachute mine. The shockwave was felt up to 100 kilometers or 60 miles away in St. John's and other mainland communities. That's strange. The incident caused a bizarre electrical phenomenon and damaged one of the specific locations in Lance Cove, where it was seemed to be centered. So there was electrical surges. Blue flames shot out 18 inches out of electric sockets. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. Something just moved on my desk. That was very strange. Okay, we're going to continue. Something's messing with stuff on my desk. All right. I'm not moving. Something's moving the lamp on my desk. Okay. Wish I had that on camera for you guys. Okay. So electrical, blah 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 blah. Okay. So electrical shot. 18 inches out of electrical sockets. Televisions exploded in charred ruins, and fuses were reportedly shot across the room like bullets. So if you've ever seen those little fuses that stick into the wall, into a little socket, that basically keeps your electronics from basically frying. It trips when there's too much electricity going through. That's what that is. Physical damage. A chicken coop was destroyed, killing the hens inside, and a barn was blown apart with no signs of scorching. That's strange. Ground disturbances. 3 cone-shaped holes, 2 feet deep and several feet wide, were found in the ground. Eyewitness accounts. One 12-year-old boy reported seeing a beautiful swirling ball of light appear and then vanish into thin air, just as the main shock, which was also seen or witnessed by others from the mainland. Okay. So, investigation theories. The mysterious nature of the boom led to the various explanations. Super bolt of lightning, one of the most widely accepted scientific explanations for my non-believers. They say it was a superbolt. Superbolts are extremely rare, made up of less than 0.001% of all lightning, and powerful form of positive lightning, many times more energetic than typical negative lightning. So that's interesting. Okay. Ball lightning, an eyewitness account of a hovering, swirling globe of light have been attributed to ball lightning, and an even rarer event and still poorly understood atmospheric electronical phenomenon that sometimes occurs after a lightning strike. Conspiracy theories. Here you guys go. Here's my conspiracy theory, people. The involvement of the Los Alamos scientist and the Cold War backdrop fueled speculation that the event was a secret military test gone wrong. Ooh, big brother. Possibly involving electronic magnetic pulse, or an EMP. Weapon or Soviet radio waves interacting with the island's vast iron ore deposits. So that just means metal under the ground. These theories were largely dismissed by skeptics and scientists due to lack of evidence. Oh, of course. Yeah. Okay. So for my believers or my conspiracy theorists like me, yeah. Uh-huh. What if it was an alien? What if it was an alien ship? Now, I heard for this one, I heard that possibly an alien ship had actually crashed into the water right off the coast. And when it hit, it basically went under the water, so there was no evidence. And essentially that's what caused all of this. And maybe it blew up underwater or something because they were dredging for stuff and recovering multiple things in the off the coast. But anyways, that's just my story, and that's what I'm sticking to. All right, so let's talk about the Flatworm Monster. I'm sorry, the Flatwoods Monster, also known as the Brax County Monster. Brax, or Phantom of Flatwoods, is a largely legendary creature from the West Virginia folklore, first reported sighting on September 12th, 1952, after a bright object was seen streaking across this night sky. Okay, so maybe an alien, maybe a UFO, who knows? Okay, so let's get into this. Like, again, this is another one I've never heard of. If you guys have heard of this stuff, please comment down below. Tell me about it. I'd love to hear about it. All right, so the encounter. On the evening of the 12th of September, 1952, a witness in Flatwoods, West Virginia, saw a bright object land on a nearby hill. A group including Kathleen May and Eugene Lemon investigated, finding a pulsating light, a sickening odor, and a towering man-like creature that hissed and glided towards them before he fled. Interesting. Description of the monster. Witnesses consistently describe the creature as a very large, about 10 feet tall or 3 meters tall, with a ace of spades or heart-shaped head featuring large glowing eyes. Its body was green, possibly covered by dark metallic skin or robe. Reports varied of its arms, and it was said to levitate or glide silently. Interesting. Okay, investigations and explanations. Here you guys go. Investigations by local authorities and the Air Force found no evidence of the creature or a crash. Skeptics suggest the sighting was a combination of a meteor and a startled barn owl with the owl's eyes reflecting light. A particular publisher did not find skid marks. A local publisher did find skid marks and a gummy deposit which attributed to a landing craft. Interesting. Okay, so legend. The Flatwood Monster remains a popular part of West Virginia folklore. Flatwoods is known for the home of the Garden of the Green Monster, with a museum dedicated to legend and monster-themed chairs throughout the county. Okay, so that's interesting. I wonder, could it be some kind of alien? Or is it something else? Was it a barn owl? You guys have to decide that. Let's move on to the next one. All right. Hopefully I pronounce this one right, but bear with me if I don't. I apologize for butchering this. The Kushtaka, or land otter man, is a shape-shifting creature from the folklore of the Tlingit and Tsimshian indigenous people of southeastern Alaska. And again, I apologize if I totally mispronounced all that. The myth serves both as a cautionary tale to keep children away from dangerous waters and an explanation for people who mysteriously disappear in the wilderness. Now, again, if you've heard me tell my Bigfoot stories, you've heard me say, that I was told that because we didn't have really woods by our house. We had orange groves, and unfortunately, we found out later on that there was somebody in there that was doing bad things to kids and other people. But I was always told that Bigfoot was basically a story people told to keep kids out of the forest at night. So, anyways, and that turned out to in my experience that turned out to be real. So I mean, Bigfoot's turned out to be real. Now again, for my skeptics, people on the fence, and people who don't believe, and you can believe whatever you want. Again, you guys have to have your own experiences with those things, and really have to have an experience to believe. So anyways, description and abilities. So the appearance, the Kushtaka are shapeshifters that can transform between human and other forms. So this sounds a little bit like the Skinwalker, right? Okay, so their appearance in human form varies, but in creature form, they are sometimes described as having a human face and an otter body, or resembling a large, hairy, bipedal creature like Bigfoot. Well, that's interesting. So maybe it's a Bigfoot? Okay. Deceptive cries. They are known for mimicking cries of babies or the screams of a woman in distress. Now, okay, so I know a barn owl does make that noise because I've heard it up at Black Star Canyon. That scream sounds like a woman being horribly, something bad happening to her. Let's just call it that way. I don't want to get into too much detail, but anyways, it's horrible. It's a horrible sound, and it's just. Anyways, so I wonder if maybe it's a misrepresentation. Okay, so this lures unsuspecting victims, typically women and children, towards the river and the forest. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, so again, that sounds like a skinwalker, right? Okay, so mixed motives. The Kushtaka can either be benevolent or malevolent. Okay, so malevolent meaning some stories portray the Kushtaka, as a cruel being who drowns their victims or tears them into shreds. Ooh, that's not good. Or they can be malevolent. In other tales, the Kushtaka save drowning or freezing individuals by transforming them into one of their own kind, which is a mixed blessing. The person survives, but they also lose their humanity and identity, preventing them from being reincarnated as a human. Okay. So, protection from the Kushtaka. According to legends, certain items and methods can ward off these creatures. So, if you have a fire going, they seem to be afraid of the fire. Copper. This is a metal that thought to have protective qualities against the otter men. Urine. In some tales, urine is said to be effective to repel them. Okay, and dogs. The Kushtaka are terrified of dogs and are barking, so a canine companion provides protection. Okay, so that's interesting. So I know, like, what we're experiencing here when Shorty, he's very sensitive to the paranormal. He picks up on ghosts. He can see things. I know he can. I don't know if you guys have a dog that can see ghosts or anything else, but some dogs seem to be more in tune, and other animals too, cats too. But this dog seems to be more in tune with seeing spirits. And then usually when I see something, he sees something too. I think Zeus also does too. I think Zeus sees ghosts as well. But when he goes out, he sits back there and he'll walk over and he'll sit on the little hill there looking out into the forest. And he doesn't do it all the time. It's usually later at night, but he'll sit there and bark. And there's usually people that walk down the path over there by the school, but he is like bark, 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 bark at the forest. He's not barking. There's nobody walking by. There's nobody over there. Because I sit there and watch with him. I kind of stand back and I don't see anything, but I have seen something at the edge of the forest. I mean, at the edge of the tree line. And I know that's how Bigfoots operate. So I don't know what it is that he's barking at. I can't say what it is, but I know there's definitely something going on over there. He's screaming at it like that. Anyways, so yeah, dogs have been known to be aggressive towards anything that could possibly hurt their owners, and I think that might be part of the reason this thing's afraid of people. Okay, so the Kushtaka legend is an ancient part of the spiritual and cultural landscape of the Tingling people. Tingit people, excuse me. It reflects a deep connection to the Alaskan wilderness and understanding of its potential danger, both seen and unseen. So that's interesting. Okay. This sounds like a really interesting creature. I would honestly kind of contribute it maybe a Bigfoot, or maybe it's their version of a Bigfoot. So, all right, let's move on. The Lady in White, America's Phantom Women. And there's a lot of ladies in white ghosts seen all over the world, but they're just kind of talking about, in general, the women from the United States. Now, before I get into this, uh, there was a tale of a woman who lived in San Juan Capistrano with her husband. He was the mayor of the city. This is back in when the mission was operating and stuff, and she got mad because he cheated on her, and they had two kids, and she basically went and drowned them in the river. Right? I always thought that river was down in San Juan Capistrano. No, it was up in Black Star Canyon, in the Tribuca Canyon, Black Star Canyon area. And she's also seen in both locations, and the kids are too. They're seen both in San Juan Capistrano and Black Star Canyon. She might be seen somewhere else too, but that's the only lady in white I really can talk about that I know of. So, okay, let's talk about the lady in white here in general. So the Lady in White is a prominent figure in American and global folklore, representing a common archetype of a female ghost, often also referred to as America's Phantom Women, excuse me. These legends share core themes of tragedy, loss, unresolved grief, and with local variations across the country. So yeah, I mean, the Lady in White that I've seen, she always is in some kind of a white dress, sometimes on a bubble, and she floats along the creek sometimes too, and she's very protective of kids. Okay, so let's talk about the common themes. Across different American legends, several common threads emerge. Tragic death. The spirit is invariable, that of a woman who suffers an untimely and often violent death, such as murder, suicide, or accident. Now, the lady in white, I believe she went back. I think I don't know if she committed suicide. I can't remember the story exactly. So if you guys want to look it up and put it in the comments, I'd love to hear about it. Okay. The trail or loss. Again, this goes to the lady one I know of. Her existence is a ghost, is typically tied to the painful loss, often involving behavior a betrayal. I can't talk today. Often involving a betraying husband or fiance, or the death or disappearance of her children. Wow, this is just totally describing the lady one I know. So she's searching or wandering. Again, same thing. The lady in white is often seen endlessly searching for a lost loved one, like a child or a partner, or seeking justice for the wrong done to her. I actually take that back. There's another place I know of a lady in white. Well, we're not going to get into that because this will get too long. So location-specific hauntings. Apparitions are usually linked to the specific locations where the tragedy occurred, such as roadside cemeteries or old estates or nearby bodies of water. So that's very interesting. This hits us totally on the head. Okay. Appearance or interactions. She is almost always seen in a flowing white garment. There you go. Often a wedding dress. There you go. Or a nightgown, symbolizing purity or her tragic transformation. She may suddenly appear as a silent hitchhiker who vanishes from a moving car, or as a weeping figure wandering at the area. So the lady in white that is at Black Star Canyon is supposedly the one that screams bloody murder. Now, again, we don't know if that's a barn owl That's out in Orange County, California. If you're in Orange County, California, and you've gone up there, then you probably know about the Lady in White. Okay, so I'm not going to get into all these, but they're naming specific ladies in white, and we've talked about Resurrection Mary, the Lady of White in Union Cemetery, the Lady of White Rock Lake. That's in Dallas, Texas. I actually have not been there yet, so I have to put that on my bucket list. The Lady in White of Duran Estate Park. That's in New York. The Lady of White of Wamsey Mountain. That's in Pennsylvania. Okay. All right, so we'll get if you guys want to know more about the ladies in white, we can do a whole podcast on that. Comment down below. Let me know if you want to hear about that. All right, so let's move on to the Fresno Nightcrawlers. Now, I can't remember the name of that show, but there was a show that basically tried to debunk things. It wasn't Ghost Hunters. It was another show that was really popular. Came on after Destination Truth or whatever, and I watched the heck out of that show. I really liked that show because I really liked how they tried to figure out what it could be instead of, paranormal. So that really got me into the Fresno Nightcrawlers. I've kind of done a couple podcasts on this, but we'll get kind of dive back into this. So the Fresno Nightcrawlers, also known as the Walking Pants, are a particular cryptid first documented in a grainy home surveillance footage in Fresno, California in 2007. I think you guys can go onto YouTube or wherever you watch your videos from. You could possibly find that video. It's not the greatest video. It's actually what he did was, and the reason it's so grainy is because he had a surveillance camera out on his property, and these things literally look like almost like two stilts walking by with a little tiny body on the top. Imagine a mouse on 3 foot, 4 foot stilts walking across your lawn, and that's basically what it kind of looks like. And then he basically it recorded to his DVR. I don't think he knew how to get it off the DVR, which back in the day we had 3 of them, and they were impossible to get evidence off of because they were so. It was just the technology wasn't there at that point in time. Now it's real simple to get technology off of those things. In fact, we use it still when we do Bigfoot research or ghost hunting. But anyways, so what he did was he had, no, I don't know if a lot of the audience out there knows what this is, but some of you will. The old screen TVs that used to come with those, they were big box, big thick box. So he actually recorded with another camera the actual video off the screen of his DVR system. And that's how he basically got the footage. And so when you record anything like that, especially with older technology from let's say the 90s or before that, even in the 2000s, the quality just wasn't nearly as much as it is today. I mean, from the 2000s on, the technology that we have, I mean that non-military have, was really upgraded. I mean, it's really gotten a lot better. I mean, we have really great cameras on our phones now. So, but the technology back then was just so bad that he wasn't able to get a real good video. So if you go to watch that video, I'm sorry, it's just really old video, especially if you're not used to looking at stuff like that. If you're in your 40s or older, you'll go, okay, yeah. But if you're maybe in your 30s or younger, you're gonna look at that and go, this is terrible video. Anyways, in the video he captured, two thin, white, humanoid figures with long legs and no arms or torso are seen walking across the front lawn. The creature's strange waddle gait earns them the name the Walking Pants. Okay. So key characteristics, appearance. They are described as a pale, ghostly creature, approximately 4 feet tall, with long, still light legs and no arms. Behavior, the video footage and subsequent reports sightings say the night crawlers are docile, non-threatening creatures with simple strolling. They just basically stroll by. So they were first sighted in Fresno, but there's been reports of similar creatures in California's Yosemite National Park, as also in Portland and Montana. Okay. So, other theories. The Fresno Nightcrawlers have been inspired several theories regarding their origin. So, they could be an alien species due to their unusual appearance. Some speculate that they are extraterrestrial beings, uh, noting the history of UFO sightings in California. They're some kind of cryptid. Another theory is that they're a reckless animal species unknown to science, similar to Bigfoot or Loch Ness Monster. Or three, for my non-believers out there, they're hoax. The most common theories is the footage is a clever hoax created with puppets or computer-generated imagery. I don't think that's real. I don't think this is definitely not AI because this was taken back so long ago. AI was, only military at that point. So filmmakers have even demonstrated how the phenomenon could be faked by editing out the upper portion of the person's body, which is true. They had the technology like that back then. They could have um, done it, but I mean, if you watch that, I think it was called Fact or Faked. You watch that show. They tried to debunk it. They tried to figure it out, and I don't think they were able to. And then they had their own experiences, which again, it's a TV show, so I mean, who knows? Anyways, so the first sighting of them took back place in 2007. Already talked about that. Okay, so when the homeowner named Jose discovered the figures on his security cameras after his dogs began barking late at night, he shared the tape with a paranormal investigator, and the story eventually attracted widespread attention when investigators from the sci-fi. Oh yeah, it is. Fact or faked files attempted to definitively debunk the video. They were unable to recreate the creature's unusual gait. Basically, this left the Nightcrawlers existent an open question for many. All right, so yeah, I mean, people think that they could be some kind of plush toy or apparel. Um, who knows? I mean, again, you guys got to make up your own mind on this stuff. Who knows if it's real or not? Only the people that basically produced the video really know if it was real. So again, put your comments down below. Was it real? Are they real? Are they really a creature, or was it faked? I don't know. Up to you guys to decide. Please be courteous to each other in the comments. Don't be mean. Everybody has the right to their own, theories and ideas. Hold on one sec. Let me get one more drink here. All right. All right. So, the Thunderbirds and Sky Serpents, the battles in the heavens. All right. So, this is likely a title used to describe a specific telling or compilation of various Native American myths. The title refers to a common motif in mythology of North American indigenous people, particularly different tribes, were thought to be where the powerful Thunderbirds, a spirit of upper world, is a blah 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 blah. Okay, so basically they're saying it's they go into a lot of words and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. They're basically saying it's a tribal tradition. I think it's basically they worship the Thunderbird as a god or something. Anyways, and I apologize if I misunderstood that, but all right. So these epic battles are central to many oral traditions and serve to explain natural phenomenon. The flapping of the thunderbolt's wings created thunder, and the flashing of its eyes, or the casting of light from its talons, created lightning, which it uses to strike the water spirits. Okay. Symbolizing balance, the conflict represents the balance and tensions between the upper world and the lower world, and the sky and the water. Okay. Acting as a protector. In many stories, the Thunderbird is a benevolent protector of humanity, fighting the dangerous water spirits to prevent them from overrunning the earth and devouring the people. Impart moral lessons. Some traditions also state that the Thunderbird is representative of or pushing humans who break moral or tribal laws, or punishing, excuse me. All right, so Thunderbirds, realistically, if you look at what, and I'm going to get religious on you guys, and I apologize if you're not wanting to hear this part, just tune out for a second or two here. But if you're religious and you believe in angels, or positive entities or whatever, people don't realize that angels don't look like they don't look human, right? Okay, so if you read the book, um, you'll see in many times that angels are scary looking. They're not like what we think they are. I mean, when you see pictures of angels in books and stuff like that, yes, they can appear like that, mainly to probably just not scare people, right? But the higher up angels, a lot of the big time angels, Michael and those other angels, they don't look like humans. They look scarier. They're bigger. They're large. They have multiple wings and stuff like that. So who's to say this isn't, maybe they weren't seeing an angel of some sort, and maybe they were fighting some kind of demon, and maybe they did have bolts of lightning come out of their eyes and stuff like that. Maybe that's the way they fight. Who knows, right? So, I mean, this could be possibly a fight between the good and bad, or it could just be something that was misunderstood. Now I'm going to go to the non-believers and people on the fence. It could just be the way that they described lightning and thunder. Maybe they just didn't understand it, or maybe they, um, you know, they have a different way of explaining it. So yeah, I mean, it could be either way. Again, just my thoughts. What are your thoughts? What do you think it was? What do you think, where this come from? If you study this phenomenon, or you know a lot more about it, I would love to learn more about it. Comment down below. All right. So the Black-Eyed Children, modern urban horror. Okay. So Legend of the Black-Eyed Children is prominent modern American urban legend that emerged back in the late 1990s. These entities are typically described as children or teenagers aged 6 to late teens with unusual and chilling features, eyes that are entirely black with no visible iris or pupil. Okay, so key characteristics and legendary elements. So let's talk about their appearance. They are typically described as having pale, sallow skin and being dressed in nondescript, sometimes even old-fashioned or dirty clothing. Their most defining feature is their complete black eyes, which many witnesses described as appearing empty or soulless. Ooh, okay. So behavior. The children are usually reported as polite and unnerving. They often approach individuals at their homes and park cars, occasionally in isolated areas, asking for help. Their requests are typically mundane, such as needing a ride home, wanting to use a phone, or asking to come inside to warm up or get food. Okay, so it says the rule of entry. A central element of the legend is their apparent inability to enter a private residence or vehicle without being explicitly invited, meaning you have to welcome them in, and by the occupant. Witnesses often feel an intense sense of dread, fear, or panic in the presence of the children, which causes them to refuse the request. Their mannerisms. They are reported to speak in a monotone voice and seem to lack normal human emotions or social cues. If their request is denied or delayed, their polite demeanor may drop, meaning they get mean, revealing a more demanding or menacing tone, meaning, again, they get mean. So it says the origins and popularity. So the legend is widely believed to have originated in 1998, and when a Texas-based reporter and web personality named Brian Bethel published an account of an alleged encounter on a ghostly related mailing list. He claims two black-eyed children approached his car and tried to get a ride. Okay. So the story quickly spread throughout early internet forums. paranormal websites and later social media platforms involving as more witnesses shared their own alleged experiences. Excuse me, guys. Has since become a staple modern creepypasta or user-generated online horror stories and popular culture. Okay. So, interpretations of these black-eyed kids. So, some claim that they're some kind of vampiric or demonic entity. It's just urban fear or psychology. Explanations. Skeptics suggest the encounters are misrepresentations of ordinary events, possibly involving people with physical eye conditions, or simply made up stories fueled by the internet's ability to propagate tales rapidly. So they're basically saying people just are doing it for attention. I actually met somebody who had an encounter with them, and he was parked somewhere. He was waiting for somebody, and this kid literally walked up to him, and he said he was just terrified of this kid. He said he wasn't human. He knew he wasn't human. Is this, demonic? Is it some kind of alien? Or are people just overreacting? Really, you guys got to make up your mind on that. Comment down below. Have you had an encounter with a black-eyed kid? I hope I never do. I really do. Maybe it's just misrepresentation. Maybe they misunderstood. Maybe the lighting was wrong. I know if you look at somebody in a darker area, sometimes their eyes you don't always see the white in their eyes. So maybe these kids were just, especially if it's late at night, maybe these kids were just out and wanting to mess with people or something. Who knows? Anyways, guys, we are going to move on to the next podcast here. I will get you guys another one probably Wednesday or Thursday. And we will catch you guys on the next one. Oh, before I go, if you're still here, please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We are growing, and we are trying to get to at least 10,000 to 100,000 subscribers. If you like this podcast, please give it a thumbs up, and we will catch you guys on the next one.